Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
There's much speculation as to who Varys is. In the books, Varys, sometimes called the Spider, is a major character in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th seasons. He initially appeared as a recurring character in the 1st season and debuted in Lord Snow. Varys is a eunuch and was the master of whisperers on the King's Small Council until he is forced to flee King's Landing with Tyrion Lannister. He is a skilled manipulator and commands a network of informants across 2 continents. Varys' true loyalties are eventually revealed to be Daenerys Targaryen, as he believes her rule would be the best way to preserve peace and prosperity in the 7 kingdoms. He and Tyrion travel to Meereen, joining Daenerys' small council. After assisting Tyrion, Grey Worm, and Missandei with the rule of Meereen in the Queen's name, Varys returns to Westeros and rallies House Tyrell of the Reach and the Sand Snakes of Dorne for Daenerys' cause against the Lannisters. That's Varys' status in the show, but today we're going to be going over Varys' history and his origins as portrayed in the show and the books. Varys was born across the narrow sea in Lys. He was born a slave, and as a child he traveled with a troop of actors from all around the different free cities until a sorcerer in the city of Myr made an offer Varys' master couldn't refuse. Varys was sold to the sorcerer, who gave him a potion that made him unable to move or speak, but didn't dull his perceptions or sense of pain and emasculated him, so he can use his sexual organs in a magical ritual, burning them in a brazier. When the sorcerer had thrown Varys' genitals in a brazier, the fire turned blue, the sorcerer called and a voice replied back. Afterward, the sorcerer had no more use for Varys and threw him in the streets to die. Instead, Varys resolved to live no matter what, begging, stealing, and selling the sexual use of what parts remained to him, doing anything to survive. He also became an excellent thief, but soon learned that stolen information was often a far more valuable commodity than any physical goods, and he worked his way up from the slums of Myr. He became a master spy and information trafficker, and his influence and reputation grew so great that he eventually found himself as a member of the small council in the 7 kingdoms. His experience at the hands of the sorcerer had also left him with a bitter hatred for magic and practitioners. As a member for the King's Small Council, he serves as the Master of Whisperers, the King's foremost spy master and intelligence agent. He holds no inherited title, castle, or lands in Westeros, but is called Lord as a courtesy due to his position on the council, which traditionally is made up of High Lords. When the Mad King arrested Brandon Stark for threatening Prince Rhaegar, Varys and the rest of the small council urged the king to pardon Brandon on the grounds that he was the heir to Winterfell and the prince had abducted his sister. However, the king refused to heed their advice and had both Brandon and his father brutally executed. This led to a rebellion that ultimately toppled the Targaryen dynasty. When the Mad King's former hand, Tywin Lannister, arrived at the King's Landing with the entire Lannister army at his back, professing loyalty to his belligerent king after the rebels' resounding victory at the Battle of the Trident, Varys warned Aerys not to open the gates, as did Tywin's own son in the Kingsguard, Jaime Lannister. However, Grand Maester Pycelle told Aerys what he wanted to hear, that he couldn't trust Lord Tywin. So Aerys opened the gates and Tywin sacked the city, and Jaime wound up stabbing Aerys in the back. Despite his previous loyalty to the Targaryens, Varys was pardoned by the new King Robert Baratheon and allowed to keep his position on the small council under the advice of his hand, Jon Arryn. Varys is bald, soft, and fat due to his castration. He often puts up the public persona of being nothing more than a pudgy man, well suited to the pleasantries of court life, humble, fawning, and a little bit effeminate. This is simply a facade that Varys has developed, which often leads those who do not know him well to underestimate him as a cheerful and vapid flattener. In reality, he is a cunning and ruthless manipulator of court politics, on par with Master of Coin Peter Littlefinger Baelish, with whom he frequently spars. Unlike Baelish, Varys insists that his goals are to achieve what he honestly feels is the best for the realm. Through, of course, what he and the current ruler feel is best might be 2 different things. The book describes Varys as well. It states that, when I was a young boy, before I was cut, I traveled with a troop of mummers through the free cities. They taught me that each man has a role to play, in life as well as mummery. So it is at court. The king's justice must be fearsome, and master of coin must be frugal, and lord commander of the king's guard must be valiant, and the master of whisperers must be sly, and obsequious without scruple. A courageous informer would be as useless as a cowardly knight. However, despite his ruthlessness and skill at court politics, Varys does not seek power for his own personal ends, but for the good of the common people in both Westeros and Essos. Thus, his loyalty to a monarch depends on how beneficial that monarch is to their subjects. Varys has a genuinely compassionate side, especially where children are concerned, even the children of his opponents. He once sadly remarked to Eddard Stark that it's always the innocents who suffer, and told Vala that he has never harmed or sought to harm a child, as he considers them blameless. He is disparagingly known as the Spider due to his vast web of intelligence sources. His sophisticated intelligence work, one of the largest in the world, spans both Westeros and Essos, as far as vast Dothrak and even Korth. He refers to his agents as sources of information, many of which are lowborn children, as his little birds. Unlike Baelish, however, Varys is not indifferent or cruel towards his employees. He educates them, gives them sweets, and provides them with protection in return for the information they bring him. One of his jobs was to keep an eye on the movements of Viserys and Daenerys Targaryen, and ensure they do not become a threat to King Robert's reign. But what is his end goal? He allies himself with Daenerys Targaryen, but what are his real intentions? We can only speculate at this point, but everything will be made clear as the show resumes and the new book comes out. Stay tuned for more videos about our favorite Game of Thrones characters here on Lannister United.